Sex sells.
Yeah, and when people think sex, they think Bobby Bunz. What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another episode. Hey, Bailey. Oh, my dog just came right up to say hello at this moment. Welcome back to another episode. Okay. Welcome back to another episode. My name is Mike Perrine. This is the Everyday Detox podcast. And on this episode, I sat with my dear friend from Staten Island, Bobby Bunz, and we met up after hours at Vitality NYC in Midtown Manhattan. And we filmed a podcast where, if you remember from previous episodes, Bobby lost over 150 pounds with consistent juice fasting and on a raw vegan diet, which he has been consistent with for 3 years now, and he's doing amazingly well. He's actually going to start setting new fitness goals now that he lost all the weight and he's done a lot of cleansing, so we get into that on this one. We also get into some weird shit. We talk about some of the disgusting things that came out of his body during his long, prolonged juice fasts. We talk about flat Earth for some reason. Bobby runs deep into YouTube rabbit holes of like alternative health and alternative thought. So like he brings up all sorts of fun topics. So we got into that stuff too. Part of the way through the podcast, one of the cameras failed. So luckily I had a backup podcast running. And if you're watching it on YouTube, you're probably like, hey, what's with the weird camera switch all of a sudden? That was it. So luckily, I figured it out in the middle of the podcast, though, and I got us back on track. But I had a backup camera running, and I totally saved the day. So that's good stuff. If you'd like to support this podcast, please visit us at rootsandskyclothing.com, and you can pick up a podcast t-shirt to support this podcast, but any of the t-shirt sales from that website support this podcast, and all of the tees have, they're all graphic tees that celebrate plant-based living. I'm actually wearing one of the sample hoodies right now, which is not available yet on the site, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it. It's one of my favorites. It was my favorite t-shirt, and we're probably going to make a hoodie out of it. So please give us a visit there. Give us a little love. Give us a little support. When you're in New York City, please come and say hello. Come to one of the live Q&As that we have at the studio at Vitality NYC. You can also come in for some amazing body work, and you can get a deep sweat, a quick chill with some cryotherapy, and if you really want to open up the channels of elimination and put this lifestyle into practice, then get a colonic with some of our amazing therapists, all trained in the lineage of Gil Jacobs, who has been on this podcast many times and who is, he's been a mentor to me, but he's also been a business partner and a friend and a colleague of mine for many, many years now. So, and he's the one who really popularized the method and the practice in the way that we do our treatments. So please come in and experience some next level body work. Also, speaking of deep sweating, Higher Dose, which is an infrared company that I am affiliated with. They have an infrared wrap that I reviewed on my Insta story, and it's saved on my profile. So if you want to check it out, you can just go over to Everyday Detox. You can check it out there and see what I thought of it. I liked it very much, and I'm affiliated with them. And for the month of November, and we're at the beginning of November 2019, they have extended one of their discount codes to be $100 off. So if you were waiting for that, or if you missed it last time, it's extended for the rest of the month of November. It's normally $50 off. If you're watching this on YouTube, down below there'll be a link and a code for that. And if you're listening to this, then in the show notes, I'll have a link and I will have the code. So if that's something you were interested in, you can grab one. Anyway, let's jump right into this podcast. It was a lot of fun for me. I know Bobby had a good time. I hope you guys enjoy it too. Let's jump right in. Bobby Bunz, welcome back to the podcast, my friends. 9:30 at night, we finally got everything to work. Always a new problem with every single podcast that we do.
We're recording. We're live right now.
We're going right now. So yeah, we got everything to work. Thank you for hanging out late with me. Whole studio is closed. We're here at Vitality, New York City. Bobby's got a handful of something that's called hippie crack. And that's a little treat that Chef Pete Cervoni, who's been on this podcast before, makes. And he was in the studio the other day. He brought a whole bunch for the staff. Bobby, this is a staff favorite. Like yes. People lose it. Clients and the staff lose their mind over that. So I'm very curious to see. And what hippie crack is it's a blend of like pumpkin seeds and coconut. And it's got a lot of like barbecue Southwest spices on it and a little bit of hot sauce. So it's a vegan delicacy, my friend. So let's see what you think.
Oh, yeah. Just everything going on in there.
It's very savory, right? It's like rich. It's like got a lot of richness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone loses their mind over that.
It's like
Speaking
eating
of
dinner.
heat, man, you brought this orange juice with like super green food and some cayenne pepper. This is no joke. Like, I don't even know if I should drink this on the podcast. I took one sip, and I eat spicy food, hot sauce, jalapenos. This is quite a bit. You put like in a half gallon, you put a whole teaspoon of cayenne.
Yeah, it was a solid teaspoon. Just almost like a tablespoon, I would guess. It's just I just went in there and went boom.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
did
the
it.
1,000 one. I think it's the hottest cayenne.
Scoville, yeah.
Yeah,
Scoville units, yeah. So this is the hottest cayenne.
the hot
yeah.
one.
Well, it's good shit, man.
And you know, it's better because it goes a long way. You know, you can pinch and it's just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I don't use cayenne too much. Maybe I got a little snobby on like the hot chilies, but I try to use fresh or fermented hot sauce.
Oh.
But I don't use the powders as much anymore. I don't know. Wow, this shit's hot. I'm going to mix it up.
Wow.
I got to mix it with some of this here.
It's the one thing that I haven't gotten into yet is fermenting. I can't wait to like.
It's so easy and it's so rewarding. I wrote a book on it.
I know, and I'm like, what? And I have it, and I'm like, when am I just gonna go buy the cap? Because it's really just about.
You don't even need the airlock cap, but it makes it so foolproof.
I was like messing around with garlic because I got this garlic from Ukraine, and it's like it peels like a orange. It's like, what am I? It's wonderful. The smell. It's really big, and I'm so upset that I didn't bring that. I bought you the butter, and I totally forgot to leave this giant.
Oh, the Brazil nut butter. Bobby brought me some Brazil nut butter. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
But wait, you have garlic that peels like an orange?
Yeah. And I have to show it to you. And I started like looking up because I wanted to like put it in oil and kind of like let it sit. And then all of a sudden it said,
Don't do that, sir.
botulism.
Don't do that, sir. Yeah, I'm a trained chef. Garlic is one of the it's one of the things that can grow botulistic spores on them, and that can kill you. Yeah, and when you put it in oil, that's the problem, right? Because it creates an environment where there's no oxygen.
Oh.
Yeah, so you leave garlic on your counter, it's not going to do anything. But you submerge it in something where no oxygen can touch it, and botulism can grow. Got to watch out. It happens in honey too, but it's very rare with honey. That's why they say for like infants and elderly not to eat honey. But yeah, botulism is no joke. Dr. Fred Bishey got infected with botulism once. Yeah.
And would he dry fast?
He fasted his way through it, honestly.
That's gold.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. He got it. I think he said he got it from something with his dog's food or something like that, or I don't remember what it was. But
because even Lauren Lockman cracked his knee in half. He's another fasting raw food guru.
Yeah, well, Lauren Lockman is he's a fasting practitioner that has a retreat in Costa Rica, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he destroyed his knee.
What do you mean? He
shattered
fell?
his knee. He was doing pull-ups. And just the bar broke, landed on his knee, shattered it, fasted right through it. He's running upstairs now.
But wait, what do you mean he fasted his way? He had his knee wrapped. Nothing.
He just, he put some ice on it and he didn't eat for like a month, and it got better.
Well, that'll expedite the healing. But was his kneecap cracked in half?
I guess it was a fracture.
Okay.
I was
going to say
it was like they had to put it together. No, it didn't seal a bone. But
well, I just in the early days of raw food, like there were all these rumors that'd be like, oh, there's this guy growing back a finger, or like this guy grew back a couple of teeth that, and like they were just.
I thought of that, and I have a hole in my tooth right now.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, and I just came off the 100-day juice feast.
Yeah. I want to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But
So I was hoping that through those 100 days of not eating and being, real nutrient, I'm drinking all these greens, and my tooth would grow back, and it didn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
The hole is still there, and now that I'm eating again, I feel it.
Miraculous healings happen with raw food and fasting and cleansing, but I've never seen fingers grow back. I've never actually seen teeth regenerate and stuff like that.
Like a full blown bone just coming in and going, I'm back.
Yeah, no, they're they can do it with some like implants, and like they're doing some cool stuff with dentistry where they're like rebonding teeth and stuff now, which is really cool. But I've never seen the body do that. No,
that's another thing with the dentist. Like, because I know I have a silver. I know I have a, what do you call in there?
What, a mercury filling?
Yeah, I have a mercury.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
I got a whole mouthful still.
You have all. Isn't
Well,
it
you
the
know what?
next level in healing?
It is the next level. And here's the thing. I mean, it's just practical life. You know, it's like I don't have the money to have all my teeth done. You know,
have a lot.
I got a bunch. And you know what my dentist told me too, which was really disappointing? So I thought that I was screwed because I hadn't gone to a dentist. And at one point I hadn't gone to a dentist in like over 10 years. And I had all these holes in my teeth. And I was like, oh, that was from maybe I really fucked up, you know, because like, and I wouldn't even brush my teeth at night sometimes before I'd go to bed. So I go to the dentist and I'm like, give me the bad news. I fucked up, didn't I? And he's like, no. He goes, you got the strongest teeth ever. I go, what are these holes? He goes, you grind at night from stress when you're sleeping. And I was like, oh, okay. So I fucked up because I didn't go to the dentist sooner and get, you know, a guard for that. Right. But he was like, your teeth are so strong. And I said, well, you know, I had all these fillings when I was a kid. He's like, yeah, your mouth is full of amalgam. And I said, he goes, but looking at your teeth, and he goes, and understanding what the general practice was at the time toward children. He's like, did you have any pain or feel any holes or feeling? I said, no. And he's like, yeah. He goes, what a lot of dentists did, the slightest little indentation in your mouth, they just drill it to make money. So he's like, you probably did not need any of those fillings when you were a kid. So I got this mouthful of amalgam. You know, like I wasn't even, like I was getting them when I was 10, 12.
Yeah,
like I
me
wasn't even
too.
alive long enough to decay my teeth. Like, look, my diet was shit when I was a little kid. I ate candy and stuff, but I didn't have a rotten mouth. Like I didn't have a mouth that needed like almost every tooth filled.
Yeah.
It's the fucking weirdest thing that I have these, you know, and that he said that. I mean, he could be wrong, but like I was like, kind of makes sense, you know?
How crazy would it be if you get those things out and your tooth is fine underneath there?
Well, I don't think they could tell. I don't think you could do forensic evidence. I mean, he could be wrong, but like that, yeah. But I had a few of them out because they got messed up. The only adult cavities I ever had or decay I ever had was when fillings from childhood loosened up and, you know, a little seepage got in there and that got a problem. I think I got a few loose ones now, so I'm gonna eventually get them out, but it's just an expense. And I'm like, I feel amazing. I think, you know,
Yep.
I it's like, do I have to do it?
The last thing you're worried about.
No, I'm taking care. You know, I was taking care of my son. I was taking care of my life. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have, and to have it done right. You
That's
know,
another thing. Like
it's-
you
it's
have
money.
to,
Yeah,
because
it's money.
of it coming out, it exposes stuff, and you know, like it can't just be no schmo.
yeah.
It has to be like a real deal guy.
And when you go to a holistic dentist that can do it, it's fucking, you know,
10 grand a tooth.
it's bread, man. Yeah, I don't know how much it is, but it's a lot. You know, God forbid you get a root canal out the right way or something like that.
Thank God that I've never.
Same here. Never had to have anything like that.
Because the shit that we know now about root canals, like how bad is it? Now it's like, oh, thank God I never got that done.
Yeah.
But the whole 3 years now, I'm vegan, right? I made it. Had 3 years.
Has it been? Oh, that's right. That was 3 years ago.
3 years
so
ago.
just to give everyone context, I said this in the last podcast you were on, but I was watching Bobby on Snapchat because I recognized him from Staten Island. We're both from Staten Island. We didn't really know each other in Staten Island. I think we crossed paths, but we
yeah.
never hung out. But we have all the same friends and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I see him following me on Snapchat, and I'm like, that name sounds familiar. So I follow him back, and I'm like, oh, it's Bobby from Staten Island. Amazing. And you were walking through one of the parks in Staten Island, and you're like, you know, you're talking to your Snapchat audience, and you're like, yeah, you're like talking about pharmaceutical companies and all this. And I was like, oh shit, Bobby's like onto some next level shit. I was like,
ready.
and then and you were heavy at the time. You had a lot of weight
Yeah.
on you. How much did you weigh?
325.
325. So you're 325 pounds. You're walking. You're talking about medical conspiracies and pharmaceutical companies, and then I'm wondering. I'm like, well, what does he eat? And then you get in your car and you say, you know, I'm just gonna have to fast again and take all this weight off. And then you started juice fast, and I'm like, shit, I wonder if I should talk to him because, like,
Yeah.
you know, I know that you don't get to 325 pounds without intense food drama, emotional issue around food. Like, there's something going on, and I know it's a challenge. Like, I know it is because I even, you know, I lost 60 pounds, and you know, I had to go through my own detox and relationship to food. So it's like, do I offer some advice? And I was like, I'm gonna watch this guy crash and burn because. You know, I mean, you just looked like, you know, you looked like you had inclinations toward indulgence and
Yes.
extreme behavior. So I was
Yes.
like, yeah. So I
All
was
the
like,
above.
all the above, right? Okay, so I guessed right. You know, pat myself on the back, but like, so I was like, okay,
You just caught me at a good time.
yeah. And I was like, I was like, he's gonna crash and burn, but I'm gonna help if I'll reach out to him. Then you start juice fasting, you lose all this weight. How much did you lose on the first one?
It was like 100 pounds in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was
impressive.
very fast.
And the place that most people crash is after they stop fasting. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people can even, it's really interesting. A lot of people can get through the fast brilliantly and then they lose it. You stayed consistent the whole time.
Yeah, because I was just deathly afraid to go back.
Right.
I just didn't want anything to do with it, and I've already been sold on the raw food because I was fighting it for years since 2010. 2016 is when I fully committed myself, but in 2010 is when I was back and forth and I was fighting it and falling off. Just like you were saying, you just happened to catch me at a good time where I was just done with failing. So I was failing a lot, and then I finally.
Yeah, you really nailed it, man.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And, like it's all failure becomes success if you just keep failing at it. You become a pro.
Yeah.
Eventually.
And I'm a practitioner, so I'm used to observing the struggle more than I am the victories. Like I don't watch like the YouTube videos where we hear everyone's success stories as much.
Yeah.
Just because I don't have time. But I do work with people in their food dramas. So my first inclination is, does he got this or what? Let's see. Let's see if he's got it. And you fucking got it, my man.
I got it. Thank you. And so where I was going with this in the transition, my teeth. Like I now that I'm bringing in all these fruits and, dates, bananas like this, I wasn't a tooth guy. My hygiene was off with the mouth. Like I just rarely brushed. And it was kind of like a toothpick thing to me. Like I would just this is how I would brush. I would just put some wood in my mouth and I was done. But it was inside. And then I started losing my teeth. And it was just because of the fruits and just not doing what I normally would do. Like just
Wait,
I don't know.
help me understand this. What do you mean you started losing your teeth?
Well, I started getting cavities and bad, like holes. Like, oh, I got to pull that tooth. Like I've never had to pull a tooth. Like
Once you started cleansing.
once I started cleansing and doing the whole.
Well, here, I'm going to throw this. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to throw this in here. I'm going to bring a little Gil Jacobs into this. And
Okay.
He's also been on this podcast. But the idea is not that, so if Gil were sitting here and
Okay.
possibly if Dr. Bishop was sitting here, what they might say to that is it's not necessarily the fruit sugar sitting on the teeth. So when sugar sits on the teeth, one of the reasons that they say sugar rots the teeth is that it creates food for some of the bacteria in the mouth and they'll ferment it into acidic waste and it'll erode the enamel on the teeth. There's another reason why people have teeth issues, especially on fruitarian diets, and that's because they're not cleansing fast enough. So because they're not doing colonics. That's why they have bone density issues. They're eating too much fruit and they're fermenting systemically, creating an acid condition, right? And when you create an acid condition, your body has to buffer it, right? So I'm watching Instagram now and all these smart asses are saying shit like, no food you eat can make your body, acid or alkaline because your blood adjusts it at every moment. And that's true. It does. You're not walking around alkaline and you're not walking around acidic. You're walking around with your body constantly having to adjust the acidic situation, right? So if someone's eating too much fruit or if they're in a state of cleansing and their body's releasing a lot of endogenous waste, they're creating acidity. So their body needs to buffer it to balance the blood so we don't die because it has to have a perfect pH, right? And what it will start to do is it will start to pull up minerals out of the bones in the teeth. And that's what starts to weaken them. So Gil lost a whole shitload of his teeth when he first started.
Yeah.
Because he was really sick and he cleansed very deeply and he was eating a shit ton of fruit. He still eats a shit ton of fruit. Now, the teeth that he still has are totally healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
I've noticed that it's less and less.
Yeah.
Like,
I
but
eat shit
I'm on
tons
top
of
it
fruit.
now.
I didn't brush my teeth. I mean, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but
Right.
I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't lose any teeth. I didn't develop any cavities because I was educated early into the cleansing game. And that's why I hammer it so hard, especially when I see you doing stuff and fasting. And I'm like, how many colonics are you getting? Because we don't realize that we're actually stirring up all of that waste and acidity.
Speaking of the colonic,
Yeah.
in the beginning of my transition, I was coming here on Juice Fest. You
Yeah.
know, I was, you getting me done. And I made it a point not to get a colonic on this or do an enema or anything. Like, just let's see what happens naturally on this last 100-day feast. And oh my God, I went solid every single day on the 100 days.
I would think so, yeah.
It was absolutely remarkable. And I don't know if you know this, but on day 90...
Oh, shit, there's so much cayenne in this, Bobby.
It's probably just going to be a red pepper residue on the bottom of that glass.
Yeah, it's going to be a red pepper residue right on the bottom, right on my bottom tomorrow. Fuck.
Absolutely.
So on day 90...
On day 90... I must have went to, I work at Wagner, you know, I drive the kids back and forth from
Wagner
school.
College.
Yeah.
You do some security there and stuff?
I just drive the shuttle. I drive them back and forth to the ferry, you know, back and forth to the ferry.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And really, you know, because I own the bar and all that stuff, and I'm done with that. Like, my whole life is just about peace, love, veggies, and the most stress-free job that I could find, and that was one of them. You know, I'm like, hey, come on in, kiddos, and take them down the block. But anyway, I went into the bathroom where I worked, and boom. I knew something was rumbling, like, because I almost had like a headache. Like, all of a sudden I had like this rush of like, I'm like almost dizzy kind of, right? I go to the bathroom. I let out this bomb. What was it? I have no idea. And I don't know how we could get into it, right? Because right now it was cement that came out of me, black cement. And it was unbelievable. And I filmed a little bit of it. And maybe
you're filming it
yeah,
in the
of course,
toilet.
I have to,
you didn't Insta story that shit.
I didn't Insta story it, but
well,
I did
God.
film it. And it was so ridiculous, right? And I knew it because, first of all, I'm hovering. So, and if I'm in a public bathroom, I'm hovering. So I'm usually catching the front.
Well, you should be squatting on that toilet anyway.
I should be just standing and squatting. And I don't know. I was doing that for a minute, but I don't know. I kind of like lost it. Maybe because the flow was better. Like, I don't know.
Hey, whatever works.
I struggled in the beginning, you know, changing my diet. Like, I had a lot of ass issues. I said, Mike, help me. Please help me. I've had like emergency colonics here. Yeah, because did the whole psyllium husk and everything.
Yeah. Well, there was that time you were fasting and you were feeling so you just said you had a headache and then you dropped that bomb.
I dropped that bomb.
That's the buildup of toxicity, right? So remember that time that you were getting a little shaky fasting and then we did the treatment and it pulled you right up?
Yep.
Right? We didn't put nutrients in your body. We removed acidity and waste out of your body. Yeah, exactly.
And after I went, it was the same thing. Because after I went to the bathroom, whoa, like the color, like the everything. Like just, I ran out in the hallway. I ran out of there. I was like, oh my God, because I knew what I did too. Like, first I flushed. Nothing moved, by the way. And this is a hard flush. This is like old Wagner, 200-year-old building flush.
Now, look, you were moving your bowels every day leading up to this too.
Yes, every day on a juice fast. That's how toxic I was. That's how much how does it happen? How can it be possible? I'm just drinking liquid and I'm having solid waste still.
I'll tell you why, right? There is some residue in juice, okay?
Yeah.
I really started to look at this because I've probably...
A lot of orange and lemon too, though.
Yeah.
I went to town with citrus.
You did a lot of citrus on there. I remember watching you do it on Instagram, but...
Did 100 days orange juice, basically.
Out of like the 28,000 or 20-something thousand treatments that I've done, probably like 5,000 of them were all people that were juice fasting throughout their juice fasts. And there's still residue in juice, right? There's a little bit of residue in juice, right? So that does collect. But the other thing that people don't realize, because a lot of people try to get colonics until they go, I want to get them until I'm completely empty when they're on a fast. And I'm like, you don't understand that. It'll never happen.
Never.
And not only,
no, I know.
A lot of people think it's just because there's old waste in their body. So there's 3 things that are happening, right? Or 4 things. There's juice residue, which is a micro amount, but it is visible, right? There is the endogenous waste that the body is detoxifying and throwing off, right? That the body's been storing for a long time. Then on top of that, there's all of the trillions of cells and bacteria in our body. They die off. They die off by the millions every day, and they just get deposited in the colon, and they're waiting for our plant-based diet to come through and sweep them out. So yeah, and the excess cholesterol will get dumped in there. So there's a lot of metabolic natural waste that'll build up in the intestine. This is why I don't believe in the breatharian thing, because the digestive tract metabolically is like designed for waste elimination.
Yeah.
You know, it's designed for fiber. It's designed for some type of food. Now, you know, the idea of how much food we need is a whole other subject. I think we need much less than, you know, people say, and much less than our culture eats. But that's why, you know, but anyway, that's what's happening. So like you're not only passing like all the old waste that your body's trying to throw off, but, you know, there's metabolic stuff too. And when you clear that, my man, right? I mean, tell me how you felt.
It's unbelievable. And it's still, I didn't want to come off it. I really didn't want to come off it. In my, you know, John Rose I follow, they call it the distance. You want to do 100 days, you know, that you go to distance. But when I hit the 100, I knew I still had, I still have so much detoxing to do. And it's been 3 years. And I have a 5-year plan now. So I know I have like a solid 2 years, because I'm close to my goal in weight. But now it's just from being heavy my whole life. And a lot of people don't know that I was heavy my whole life. I was just a heavy teenager.
Peaked at 325. Where are you at now?
I'm at 165.
Fantastic.
165.
Wow.
Yeah. So
good work, my man.
160 pounds.
I wish you would have gotten more colonics on that fast.
Yes.
But you know what? Your body really held up well. Like,
yeah.
It really did good. You really did good. So, yeah, congrats, my man. What was it? You know, people have a lot of struggle changing their diet. They have a lot of struggle fasting. What was like the emotional, psychological experience like when you were like getting into 30 days, 40 days, 50 days?
There was, I think it was 77. I had a just huge breakdown. And I put it up on Raw Food City. Like, I have a YouTube channel.
I didn't catch it. What was the breakdown?
It
like
was
hunger
just
or
emotional. No, just like me snapping on everybody. Like, I noticed, and then I had the birth, that 90-day birth. So maybe that was coming out of me.
So what we do when people are fasting and they're super hungry, they'll come in cranky. They come in, I want to stop this fast. I don't think it's working for me. They're in the worst mood. They have a headache. They get on the colonic table, 3-4 feet of rope, come right out of their backside. All of a sudden, they're like sweet as sugar. They're like, nah, I think I'm going to keep going. They go for another 10 days on the fast. It's that waste elimination. So
that's what it was.
And most people think that it's malnutrition. Oh, you haven't eaten. That's why you're headachy. Oh, you're lightheaded. Oh, you're so cranky. You need to balance yourself. You need to get the waste out that's been awakened.
Yeah.
And when you're in that state of cleanliness, it's like, that's why this fasting and prayer are done together so much. Like, you almost get that like God energy, not that like you're God, but like, you get like that God, like you're just elevated.
We can parlay into this so much.
My compassion expanded when I started cleaning and in fasting and everything. Like, everything.
The whole world changed for me. Everything. On day 4 of my first fast, I broke down and started crying. So day 70 was a cry fit, because emotionally, it was a mess. He's drinking my cayenne pepper right now.
Yeah. Oh, shit, man. The cayenne in that. I'm sorry. I hit the bottom of it. Fuck.
But so there's so much I wanted to talk to you. I actually wanted to come in here and flip the script on you and like interview you. And like, I had some questions, because of how clean, because I know the way I feel, I look at the world different. Like, I realize that I've been lied to my whole life with a lot of things. Like, and so now I'm just kind of like, it's weird to walk around and see all the zombies. It's a weird thing, and I want everybody to feel what I'm feeling. So that emotionally hurts, like, because they have no idea how awesome it is over here. And I just want to wheel everybody in, but I see the whole world different. And now,
well, you recognize the systemic misery of people too. Like, I've been walking around here in Midtown.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, just with the pollution and the people that are smoking and where they go for lunch every day, and like the way that the scowl on the face, and like it's it's so sad to see, you know? And I'm like bouncing down the street with my mangoes and my juice, and I'm like going to my little oasis here where we do cleansing work and all of our water is super purified. And I'm like, wow, man, like, you know, look, you know, we create it all. Like we could have, you know, I mean, not paradise in like a spiritual sense, but like we could have a real paradise here, like in the world. If everybody were into what we're into, if we were like, you know, I did a funny Instagram post and, what the hell, what was it? I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was, I like kind of like made a meme. This was like a couple of years ago. And it was two businessmen sitting in the back of like a limo. And one guy was showing somebody, the other guy, something on like a newspaper or an iPad. And he was going, this is some quality jackfruit right here, Hans. I don't know why I named them Hans, but I was like, some quality jackfruit. Like if that's what the world prioritized instead of all the nonsense that we manufacture and all the plastic and all the, you know, if we just prioritize like permaculture, food culture, cleansing, wellness, organic farming, you know, gardening.
It would be peace on earth.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, people would be, I mean, I think we'd also have our human issues, but I think there definitely would be there'd be a major shift in the way we had relationships with each other.
Yeah. And I mean, I see the little, you've been in the game for a long time, so it must be getting, I don't know if does it get old?
What's that? Like the conversation?
I don't know. Just like, just hoping that everyone just saw what you saw for a second.
You know, Dr. Bishy's told me something once. He said something that really made a lot of sense to me. You know, he said, Michael, you know, Dr. Bishy's kind of like, he's Christian and he's religious. He like reads the Bible. He does, you know. Yeah. And he said, Michael, you know, it's a fallen world. He goes, it's supposed to be a fallen world. It's not heaven. It's not, you know, this is not, you know, it's kind of like a learning place. So it's okay that everything's fucked up. You know, it's really about like what we do here. You know what I mean? It's like not supposed to be like when like, and I personally don't think
because you wouldn't know if there wasn't hell, you wouldn't know about heaven, right?
Kind of. Yeah. It's like, and there's the guy, John Joseph, told me this. John Joseph, the guy, a lot of people might know him from Instagram, from the Joe Rogan podcast. Anyway, he's a friend of mine, and we talk about some of this stuff sometimes. And he said, the guy, the Hare Krishna guy who brought the Hare Krishna movement to the United States, he used to say that life is like a toilet, like the bathroom. Like you get in, you do your business, and you get out. You don't try to hang out here and make it your home. Right? It's like a place. It's a transitional place for the spirit to come and learn in the conflict.
Right.
Right. So it makes it feel a little better.
It does.
I still want to control my environment and try to, you know, and create that world. But I understand that like not everyone's going to do it. I mean, I was a fucking idiot when I was, you know, I was polluting my body, polluting the world, smoking drugs, violence, all sorts of dumb shit in Staten Island when I was a kid, you know, and I wasn't even the worst of it. I came from a good home. I was just being a dumbass. But like, you know, there's some real dark shit that goes on in the world. But
I'm just so happy that this happened, you know, that I'm here. And that's all I do now is just constantly try to inspire one, really. Like that's because I know even if, you know, a million people watch me, if I just get that one person that goes, oh, you know, I could do that. And I kind of feed off that, you know.
A lot of the purpose of most of our experience is to awaken. That's really what it is. That's what like it's just so we could awaken to certain things. So I think to some level, without sounding righteous, I think, and I want to be careful how I say this. Like, I don't think being vegan is being awakened or anything, but anybody that shows up in each moment and says like, oh, I could make a choice to not create suffering then and makes that choice, I think that's a level of awakening in some, you know, it's just like some level of empathy and compassion, even if it's not another human, you know, but that's in all our relationships, but our relationships to animals and the earth. So, you know, it's the whole point of all this mess is to awaken. You can, and you know, think about the human, I just think about myself, like I'm lazy. If I weren't presented with the challenge of it all, if there wasn't anything to work toward, you know, if the world were perfect, I might just play video games in paradise or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I might not grow. I might not create my own challenges, you know? Maybe I would because I do that kind of stuff naturally now. But like, I don't know. But I think like humanity always needs a push. We always need extremism to get us to go, oh shit, yeah, maybe we shouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, look what happened in New York with September 11th. New York, everybody's tunnel vision, money, you know, like indulgence and like doing their thing, going about their day. Then September 11th happens. and all of a sudden the whole city loves each other for a little while.
That was an interesting time.
Yeah, it's like this awakening moment where everyone's like, oh shit, no wait, we're all humans and this is so awful, and like we need to, and all of a sudden like there's this heart opening because something horrific happened. A friend of mine posted something on Facebook. I think did I say this on our podcast? I said this on a podcast once, and it was about New York, and it was a video, and it was like, New York is a place where like you can be lost in the crowd, and it can be a cold like place, and it was just showing people getting like lost in the shuffle and like the hardness of everyday living and people bumping into each other, and they're like, but when there's a tragedy, New Yorkers have heart. New York, and there was like that, and I was kind of like, but that's the sad part. Like they need that. They need some tragedy to show their heart. That's not in all cases. There's plenty of sweet New Yorkers. I'm not shitting on New York, but as we know, it can be a little bit, rough around the edges, and it gets really soft, and we get really tight when bad things happen.
But cleaner I get, like New York, it's harder for me to live here because I hear the noise now. Like I'm feeling the antennas. I'm feeling like I need more quiet. Like, and it's almost because the megahertz. We don't even realize we're surrounded by Wi-Fi and all this stuff. Like it's getting worse and worse.
It's pretty disruptive, but we adapt to it. That's one of the things that I've sort of I sort of conceded to. Right? Like as you see, I'm on my phone all day trying to create content and stories. And I'm like, I wouldn't move in. This is how crazy I was when I wouldn't get Wi-Fi when it first came out.
Really? So you knew?
I knew in the beginning. Yeah, people used to wear those Q links and all these silly cell phone things that I don't think ever worked.
I'm ready to get silver underwear. I mean, I'm to that point.
But like I was that guy. I was like, I don't want. I was like, Wi-Fi, that can't be good. That's going to be disruptive. Those type of energy, those type of waves are going to interact. And then I just saw what was happening, and I went like, okay, there's a lot of gifts in this, but this is happening. It's kind of like flying. Flying is insanely unhealthy. But you know what? You could not see the world, or you can take forever to see a small section of it, or you can have that experience in wherever. Or you can have that experience, and you could go see stuff, and you could go, well, this is the cost of living if I want to not, live off the land and not travel more than 100 miles in my life. You know what I mean? It's it's like if you want that life, then that's what we got. And I think the phone too. It's like, I mean, God, I got my relationship from that. You know what I mean? Like my marriage is about that. It's like
because I changed my life because of the internet. So
exactly, you got inspired through YouTube.
So that was my church, and it changed my life. And now, most of the time when I'm using the internet, it's to learn something. It's like not really just. It seems like even with TV, I think the only show I watch is Game of Thrones. Really, is
no spoilers, please, because I'm way behind.
Except for the Starbucks cup that was found in yesterday's episode, which is
I gotta go. I can't wait to see that. But
it's so ridiculous. Yeah, because of all the money that's involved in that. But so do you think, like, being that we are primal, right? We are. And do you think like the vegan thing is we're a little bit smarter than our primal bodies? And because there's so many questions I want to ask you, like, because even theories, like, is the world round? Like, just so much that.
Are we talking about flat Earth?
Yeah, like flat Earth.
You want to ask me about? Why would you want to ask me about flat Earth?
Because right now the people in Hawaii should be sideways. Is that
sideways?
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't be sideways. Why would they be sideways? No, because it's a globe where gravity brings everything to the center. There is no up and down. That's assuming there's a north or south in the universe.
But gravity's a theory, no? It's not a fact. It's just grass. We don't know how grass grows. We see it grow, but we really don't know how it does. It's all miracle stuff.
I know on some level we can dissect things down to a point of like, well, why is that even doing that thing? You know what I mean? Like, yes, like that happens, I watched a Miracle of Life video once, and, it shows, it was like when they actually like showed like the cell division and the sperm fertilizing the egg. And I'm looking at it and I'm just like, And look, I'm not like a scientist that studies this stuff, so I'm totally just like talking as an observer. Like I was watching a DVD of Miracle of Life, but I'm watching it and it's like there's something like as you dissect, so you go, oh, these cells replicate and these cells, like why and how is that happening? I know there's a reason down to a certain. Oh, well, the DNA dictates this and this. That I get that yeah, I understand. We understand to that level, but at some level, it's misunderstood. There's even some. Ideas like they know what glands control certain things, like the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, but then they don't know like where does that information come from?
Right, and that opened up for me.
Yeah,
more than ever. Like I didn't even know it existed until I started cleaning up, and then when I started cleaning up, and then the vegan thing is like the beginning of the cleanse. And then as I started cleaning up, I was like, oh, wow. I started doing breathing and you just dive deep. And I didn't realize how deep it was.
Well, you go down to flat earth. I mean, like you go down deep rabbit holes on YouTube. No, I don't think that the world is flat. Well, first of all, let me put it this way. Why? Why would the whole world be sold a lie about the shape of the earth? Because honestly, if the world were flat, I would still care about my loved ones. I would still be stuck in the money wheel. I would still have to pay taxes. I would still be doing the same things I'm doing now. I'd still be trying to grow. I'd still have spiritual beliefs, but the earth would be flat. Like I don't see what the lie is to make us all think that the earth is flat. You know what I'm saying? Like I pretty much buy like everything else is round in the universe. So why is the earth flat? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It really doesn't either to me. Cause I mean, we would have to know, someone would have to hit the end of the.
Yeah. But and also people say, oh, well, it's a lie. They've lied. It's like NASA's trying to pull one like, well, and I've not watched any flat earth videos and I say that with pride. I've not watched any flat earth videos, so I don't really know what the full argument is, but like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
It doesn't. I'm just like, what's the lie for? What is it going to do? It's going to make us all think that something's different than it is, but it doesn't have any control over us.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, even if it was flat or round, the whole point that I even have an experience that has some type of value, I contemplate that every day. I don't care what I'm standing on. You know what I mean? Like even the early cultures understood, I think, that there were planets. Right? You see it in all the different mythologies of indigenous peoples in different places. And, they knew so much about astronomy. Like they understood what was going on. I mean, they even understood that. But even if they didn't realize that and they thought they were walking around on something flat, they were still having human experiences. Like, I don't think it changes anything. So I don't see why anybody would lie about it. I think it all makes sense to me.
Yeah. Oh, and you said that too about... what were you saying? That if it was all a conspiracy, if the ones with all the money, right, the ones that were controlling the world, had felt like us, this wouldn't be like.
We were talking about, like a lot of people say, like in the conspiracy world and stuff, they'll say, or like they have like medical conspiracies or like health conspiracies where they'll say like, oh well, they just want all of us to be sick. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so they're like, they're, what is it called? Sorry, it's late. With the chemtrails and they want us to be sick. And
yeah.
I'm like, they breathe the same air. Like, what are you talking about? And like, or they'll say, they just want us all to be sick. And I'm like, yeah, but if they were poisoning a food supply, so to poison a food supply with GMOs and pesticides, if you truly believe that this is going to weaken the population and hurt people, right? That means that that's wrong. That means that you eat organic food. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody that has the consciousness, I believe, to eat clean and to grow food that's in harmony with the land, if they already have that consciousness, they're not going to try to poison they're not going to do mass genocide of humanity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, obviously somebody with a mental disorder might do that, but I mean, I don't think there's a collective group of people that are like, let's poison the masses while we all munch down on like organic celery. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think they would have that consciousness if they had that awareness. I think it's all paradigm shifting. I mean, I think some people shut their eyes and their ears because of money. I think it's humanity's ideas getting them into trouble. I think pesticides are probably a brilliant idea to whoever thought them through. They were like, oh, the miracle of chemistry. We could just create this thing. We could dump it. Hey, look, we just solved this problem. We're going to get rich and we're going to have, like, people, like, that's a whole paradigm. People believe that shit.
Yeah.
I think the scientists believe it. They think it's fine. I mean, I know they're not going to drink a can of pesticides, but, and I think, people are waking up now, but,
well, yeah.
I think I don't think it started, with ill intention. I think people thought they were being really slick is what I think they were doing. It was a big mistake and it fucked up the world. And now there's just really bad patterns,
Why do I feel like what happened to me, like, because, there was so many things that happened to me. Like, I couldn't walk upstairs. I had hypertension. I was definitely borderline diabetic. I sleep apnea. All these things changed for me, like, overnight, right? That people get prescribed stuff for.
Yeah.
So just with me healing and my word that I'm putting out there, like, don't you think, like, eventually there'll be the fall of pharmaceutical? Like,
I don't think at mass, no, like not at scale. I don't think the world's awake enough for it.
It's just,
I think it just looks,
everyone's sleeping still.
I think so. I think it looks that way because there's a lot more exchange of information.
Yes.
And I think that a lot more people are awakening to things and trying things, but I don't think it's at scale.
So we won't see it in our lifetime.
I don't believe so. And I'm not trying to be dark or negative. Like, I just don't. Like, if you were like, look, it sounds like really quiet in here. Like right now we're in Midtown Manhattan. If we walk down on the street, what time is it? Almost 10:30 it is right now. Like, we're right near Times Square, packed with people shoving, street corn dogs in their face. Like, when you look at the statistics of people that are medicated for shit, for mood stuff, for like all their diseases, like, the numbers are outrageous.
It's so scary.
I think people are waking up. We got Oprah and Dr. Oz, and they'll like start talking.
Throw
to
it
people.
out there.
They throw little things out there about like healthy stuff, and have you tried this herb? And Oprah had a vegan challenge, and so like that's big. That's a big deal. But look, man, I look at my family. Like, my family's gotten a little better, but like, God, they've known me for the last
forever.
25 years.
Yeah.
I've been vegan, and I went from being, oh, he's into some crazy, fad, to like, oh, I guess this is Mike, to like, oh my God, Oprah said vegan challenge. Mike, you've been into this for years. You were like, like they started to respect it a little more, to like, but they still have their same thing going on. They eat better, but like, no, there's still like lots of meds and lots of things, like stuff that normal people do.
Even my dad, like, I can't get the word across to him because now he was on a medication for high blood pressure, and now they just diagnosed him with type 2.
Oh wow, type 2, huh?
Well, yeah, and it's so easy. I told type 2 is just basically 100% what you're eating.
Yeah, they reverse it. Like on Instagram, Mastering Diabetes is a group on Instagram. They're crushing it with type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, type 2.
Crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, come on, just jump on board. Even whole plant-based, like, don't even go as deep as how I went with raw food and stuff. Just do the whole food plant-based diet, and that'll change diabetes. Like, well, yeah, the booze too. Like, just get the beer.
What, he's drinking?
Buds. He's still rocking. Like, he's 20 years old.
Yeah, this is what I've come to. It's like, it's all about self-responsibility. This is what Malcolm X taught me. If people don't know, listening to this, you probably do, because I say it on a lot of podcasts, and I talk about it on Instagram and social media, but like, I got into this from reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and one of the most powerful lessons from him was self-responsibility. Like, he was all about that with people, For them, it was like, stop drinking the devil's liquor and stop buying it and stop doing, those were the issues at the time. But for me, that was the same. He inspired me to stop drinking. It's on you, Mike, And I was like, okay. So like, I just look at, and I think about it spiritually, and I look at family members or whoever, and I'm like, they make their choices. Let them make it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't care, but like, I just go, okay. They made their choices, and that's obviously the experience that they need to have. Like, look, we all mess up, right? We all mess up, like, in this world. So it's like, okay, so those are their mess ups. I've got mine. I'm not perfect. I mess shit up all day.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's their path, because it's all choice.
It really is.
I feel bad when somebody gets hit by a car and now they're screwed up, and I go, fuck, that's That's something that could be grown through as well, I'm sure, if you think about it spiritually. But like, that sucks, you know? But when someone's like, I just can't stop drinking or whatever, and I'm just like, and I don't mean someone that's deep in like, you know, like pure, like the disease of addiction, but I just mean, you know, the people that we know that could stop drinking, but they just don't, or are still smoking from high school, or like, it's like, yo, man, that's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to fess that one up.
Yeah.
And just being blindfolded to it, just ignoring it. Like, you know, this is what I want to do. I hear that all the
But
time.
that's what I mean. Remember before I said, you know, humans are lazy.
Yeah.
You need something to awaken you. You know what awakened me too? Not only reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, but my life started to crumble at that age. My body was shit. My girlfriend left me. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh crap. My parents were pissed at me for just being a mess. And I needed that, right? Luckily, my bottom wasn't that low, right? Luckily for me, God bless. But, you know, most people, like, what happens when they find out they have cancer? Yeah. All of a sudden, how many people? I just found out I had this thing removed. Now I'm going to go plant-based, and they booking colonics with me. And I'm like, great, I'm glad we're here. But in my head, I'm thinking, I really wish you would have figured that out 10 years ago so we wouldn't have to get to this point. So you're not going to have to worry about something recurring, you know, because a lot of work can get done in a short amount of time with the body's chemistry, but it's not always easy to change somebody's biochemistry that after 40, 50 years.
Yes. Well, look at me. I'm a pure example of that. I mean, I'm still detox. I'm still healing from my old self. And it was 43 years before my brother got diagnosed with cancer and woke me up.
Yeah, you got scared. You got freaked out when he died.
And to me, it made sense. It was like a perfect storm because I knew how bad his diet was. And I was like, okay, I'm not going out like that. And I'm just going to I'm going to finally do this. You know, something I've been failing at for so long. I'm finally going to get this done because he just told me I was going to die before him. And he had like a month to go, you know? So that was the eye opener for me. Like, yo, you're going to die, because he saw the sleep apnea was so bad and I was so heavy and I couldn't breathe. And it was so ridiculous. So I can't even imagine people getting to those numbers. I was 325 like that. And then you see my 600-pound life and the interview I had the other day with the 700-pounder. Like, how do you go at 400, 500, 600? Or the same thing with my dad. How are you still drinking? Like, you know, like, or my neighbor, how are you still smoking? 60 years old. Like, why did they just keep doing that?
Well, you know what one of Tony Robbins' things is when the pain of this can be flipped a couple of ways, but like when the pain of doing it becomes greater than the pain of not doing it, that's when you'll escape the pain. So, you know, when we eat something or smoke or whatever, like it's a reward. It either makes us feel good, even if it's artificial, right? And that's what most refined processed foods do, right? They light up the same pleasure centers in the brain as drugs, yeah. Or it just takes away the pain, right? So you want to smoke. Like, I quit smoking. That was one of the hardest things I ever did.
Yeah.
And I smoked for 7 years, and I was like, you know, and I didn't even smoke for 40 years. I smoked for 7, and it was hard. And drinking and giving up different foods and stuff, you know, it creates like this thing. And I go, oh, if I just eat that slice of pizza and have a cigarette, it'll take away that discomfort, that weird like craving or whatever, you know. But so it's even like, it depends on where somebody decides to escape the pain or enter into the pain. You know, the best thing to do is enter into the situation. Yeah. Holly always gives me shit because I haven't taken a pharmaceutical or recreational drug. Holly is my fiance, and you know, she works in medicine, right? You know, so sometimes I'll have like my neck goes out a lot. I'll get like I have this thing like a spinal thing where my neck will pop out, and I got to go to the chiropractor, right? So my neck will go out, and I can get a migraine from it, like a massive headache, and it takes a while for me to like ice it and get it back, and then I'm fine. Or like when I was in Oregon, I had some really intense allergies the first time I got there because I've never really been around this pollen or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's like, why don't you take something? You're miserable. You're suffering. I was in the worst mood. I was such a shit.
No
you know?
way. But
either of those things happen. And I'm like, no, I want that communication from my body, and I want it to like work out. I'm going to enter into what's going on. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. If I get into a car accident, I'm going to get pain meds. I'm not going to be a hero over here and try to stick to like some fake set of ideals. Right. But like I want to like go through the experience, you know?
You know what I wanted to ask you too? That brought up a good thing, a good parlay.
Okay.
Gambling parlay. But no, it was, Do you think that we should have like a medic alert kind of, being that we're so clean and we haven't had pharmaceuticals in a long time? Like I haven't had Advil, I haven't had anything, and like it's been 3 years. It's been a million years. Like, what if you get hurt, right? You get hit by a bus, a mirror, knocks you out, you're out, and they're just hitting you with stuff.
Dr. Bishy talked about that. Like, so he was in a dentist chair once.
Raw food medical alert. What do you think?
And they get, so I don't know if my chemistry is as clean as like, say, Dr. Bishy Fred's is, but like he had a couple of instances where he had a couple of medications early on after all his fasting, and he's done like water fasting. He's fasted himself down to 88 pounds on water, and like he was in a dentist chair once, and I forgot what they gave him. They gave him something, and the dentist convinced him. He was like, Fred, he's like, look, I got to do this thing. Trust me. I'm going to give you a small amount. It's not going to be whatever. And everything seized up. And he couldn't even move. He was paralyzed, and he couldn't lift his arm up. And the dentist saw his hands shaking and was like, oh, and got some oxygen on him or something and brought him out of it. But like, yeah, he thought his heart was going to stop when that happened. Yeah, well, because a lot of medicine it technically is toxic, and we survive it. Like, so we survive medicine, but it's a gift. If something bad happens, I'd like hit me with some gifts.
Oh yeah.
I understand its place, but yeah, like it you'll recover better from surgeries, but during the process, if you're really, really clean, some of that stuff isn't cushioned like it is in a toxic body that's used to accommodating toxicity, right? It's like, I went to a party once in Staten Island. It was in a warehouse, and this was the rule that, Arthur, RDV, this was RDV's rule. You're not allowed to smoke cigarettes in my warehouse, right? But you can smoke all the weed you want, right? So I don't know what I was much younger then, but and I was like, okay, I'm going to go see these guys. I'll hang out for a few hours. I didn't realize that everyone was going to be smoking weed inside the house. It was like walking through like it was just a fog. So I was in there for like a good 10 minutes. I was trying to hang out and talk to people. I was sick for days, chest issues, body ache, like just from 10 minutes of breathing all that shit in. So it's like very magnified for me. I used to get sick on airplanes too. Like I remember when I used to fly to the tropics, I don't know what it was, but I think they were pumping pesticides into the cabin. I know they do that in some, when they have to fly to some countries. And I was going somewhere tropical. And all of a sudden the whole cabin, it filled with an aroma that I would say smelled like pink, like the color pink. You know what I mean? Like some fake flower. It just smelled. And I went, what the fuck is that? And I was like, what is that? Why does the cabin stink like that? And it like filled in. My entire head congested, immediately seized up, congested, got headachy, totally messed me up. Like I'm very sensitive to those things where like the average person just walks around, they could smoke, they could smell someone's perfume, they could use artificial scents in their house cleaners, and it doesn't fuck them up. Fucks me up.
Me too, man. I'm right there with you.
But back to the medical alert thing, I think that I don't know if this like Dr. Bishy is probably that clean where it really matters. Like I think that I'd be fine. I think that we would probably survive it. And even he said to me once, he goes, he said it used to be really dangerous. He goes, but the doses they give now and the way they're able to control it is so much better. He goes, it's not as dangerous to go under.
And they probably have antidotes to everything too. Like,
yeah, they do. I think it's a really good time to get. Like if God forbid something bad happens, it's like one of the best times in the world to get worked on. Like the technology is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we never have to have that. God bless. I've never had anything major happen to me where I had to have a surgery. Yeah.
So your neck bothering you? Why not just go on a long fast? You don't think that'll do 21 days water? Come on, Mikey. I know you're thin though, but
no, I don't think that's going to fix my neck for a couple of reasons. One is because it comes from my posturing from stress. I'm under a lot of stress all the time. People don't know this that watch my Instagram or listen to the podcast, but this business puts me under a lot of stress. Having a life and a relationship across the country from the business, it's just a lot of stuff. It's life, right? And sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll feel like I ran a marathon. My legs will be sore, my IT bands will be tight, there'll be a soreness in my back, my neck will be pulled, and that's from my thought process. That's what that's from. And from that pattern of thinking over the years, it's gets me like, so Holly and I can have an argument, or I could like look at my banking stuff at the wrong time. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, and Holly knows it, and she'll be like all of a sudden I start to get headachy and my neck goes out, and it's just something that happens in my body. My hips will get crooked. and then it'll magnify when I work out. So if anyone's watched podcast, oh God, was it 24, 25 with Dr. David Mailer? He helped me a lot with that, but he doesn't practice anymore. I have to get back into MSA.
Oh, I love that dude.
He's
He was
great.
just, like,
David's
sucking it out with his hands, right? Isn't that like the
It's a lot of chiropractors
pulling
that
the
do
energy
it.
out?
Yeah, it's really weird. And he explained how it works a little bit on that podcast, but he helped me a lot. And of course, traditional adjustments get me right again. But really for me, it's I have to lower my stress, and I got to get really dedicated to my yoga in the physical sense. And I got to break my patterns that twist me and get me, and get me in that place. But hey, I might have experiences on a water fast where I realize that that all is one, and and that there's nothing to stress about, and we're all going home, and I might have that experience. I don't know, but I'm forbidden to fast right now until the wedding.
Oh, interesting.
Because
Okay.
my stress has already got me like really thin, and and Holly's just like, cause I hardly eat and I hardly sleep.
I noticed that as soon as I came in. I was like, whoop, look at this guy. He's a little thin there.
I gained about 15 pounds of muscle over this, not the summer, over the winter.
I watched you.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, I was in Oregon. I was still stressing and having trouble sleeping, but like, man, I was doing really good. My neck wasn't bothering me. I was really putting in time with the mace and the mat and calisthenics, and I was like, all right, I got this back. And then, this is on me, but like it got interrupted. I did a podcast down and I went to go meet up with Mississippi Vegan down in, where were we? Mendocino, California. We had to go to San Francisco. My week got interrupted for like 7 days. And when I got back, I had to hit the ground running with work stuff. And
you just lost track.
I fucking failed, man. So anyway, I got to get back. I got to get back into it. So,
But the more you fail, eventually you succeed.
Yeah, no, I'll get my flow back. But I got to get my flow back. Yeah. And, but I'm not allowed to fast until after the wedding. So
that's all I do now is inspire people to fast, because I think that's where the real magic is just what happened to me. Back to the 90-day freaking poop story. I wanted to tell you, I urinated on this monster and flushed and peed, and it's sitting in the water for the entire weekend. So now I'm juicing.
Wait a second. Hold on. Wait. You
I'm
left
going
this.
back
You
to the
left
poop.
this thing in a
Yes.
bathroom at work.
Yeah, it was in the bathroom at work. It was the end stall.
Doesn't anybody else pee?
Well, they could have, but they probably
probably
seen
ran.
it and went to the other one
They
because there was
fucking
multiple
ran out of
ones.
that bathroom.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. There was, so they left it, right? And it was perfect. It was the weekend. There's not a lot of people there. So I peed and flushed on this thing. Now I'm juice fasting, so I'm peeing a lot, right? So I'm peeing on it and I'm flushing it. I'm peeing on it and flushing it. It's sitting in the water.
You're going back to the same pile of turd and taking a piss on it.
Yes.
Fucking Jesus Christ, dude.
And having a blast doing it, right? Because and at the final day, so this happened Friday night. It was
Men are disgusting. I know why women say men are fucking disgusting. Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like
no woman would do that. You realize there's no woman that would do that.
I don't think so.
No
There's
female
no way.
would do that.
There's no way. That's totally a dude thing. It has to be, right? I didn't even think of that. Actually.
Okay, so it's
So the whole weekend it was in this bowl. In the water though, too, because half of it's above the water because I hovered. So it's in front of the bowl. So half of it's in the water.
Iceberg.
It's an island.
It's a shitberg.
It's there. It's amazing. It's black. It's hard because it's not moving. So I'm thinking if it sits in the water overnight and I come in and flush it, it's going to break. Nothing solid. So finally, after peeing and flushing, every single time I get back from the van, every hour I'm peeing on this thing. It's not moving still. This is how amazing. This is
days. You said days?
Yeah, it's days. So
okay.
now finally we're into Sunday, and because I work the weekend, so finally we're into Sunday. It's the end of the day. I'm like, okay, now I got to play with it. So yeah, I get the towels and I go into the bowl and I'm playing with it, and it's because because I wanted to wipe it down, kind of like just.
What do you mean with your hands?
Yeah.
With a towel?
You
didn't get like
just the paper towels and I'm poking it.
You didn't get like a chopstick from a restaurant to push it out?
I did that at home, but this one was really my baby.
Often?
I felt like it was a child of mine.
Okay.
That I could touch it. And I did. And it was I can't even tell you what it was really like that came out of me, and I know there's more. Because I'm working on the skin, right? Because I even if I'm 165, right, and I'm thinking I'm 5'10" and a half, and I'm 165, and I still have the belly, like.
Well, you have the skin. I mean, your skin stretched out.
So
Yeah.
you think that's all skin? I still think there's some more of that tar that's in me that I.
Well, you might
could
have
get
some.
out.
You might have some stuff sitting in the intestine. You probably moved a lot of it out, but there's waste scattered microscopically throughout the body. It all depends on how the body decides to store it.
And that's why I have this go to 80 pounds kind of and like and rebuild with plants, because I feel like I have to get that thin to rebuild, like so my skin could come back somehow. But I feel like the skin is coming back. It's slowly happening.
I'm sure it'll tighten up a little bit, but I mean, you think you're going to get.
Well, that's what I want. I want to. That's really my goal now, is to regenerate the skin fully with plants, and that would be like a big miracle. And I've been documenting it.
And what if it doesn't spring back all the way in a few years? Would you get it? Would you get it tightened up? Would you get a procedure done?
I know. I'm just afraid of the.
Well, yeah, it's unnecessary, obviously.
Yeah, it's
but
definitely it would be a vanity.
it'd be
thing.
better to leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would hope one day that through all the fasting, because now I'm in that realm. When you've seen it, I made my first extended water fast was the other day. I did 2 days water. So I did 1 day water. I've done 10 days carrot. I've done just carrot, mono. I've done pretty much 100 days juice, orange juice, because I had orange juice every single day.
You gotta watch out. You're really making sense to me too. When you juice that much citrus, your teeth can get messed up, not just from it touching your teeth, but citrus awakens a lot of toxicity. It can create a lot of acidity in the body. You gotta be doing a lot of colonics. You want to keep the teeth.
I should.
I'm talking to Gil about this on one of the future podcasts.
I wish it was you.
I tried to get him in for one on this trip because I'm in New York for 2 weeks, and I tried to get him in. He's too busy. Couldn't do it. I'm going to check the cameras real quick, but you go ahead and say what you were going to say. I just want to make sure we're rolling because we don't have anybody assisting us today.
That's the most amazing thing about the whole feast was the fact that I didn't have assistance, and I was going every day, solid material still coming out of me. I mean, there was days where it was more liquid than others. But then I'd have that moment. Boom.
Now, you had a fantastic experience fasting. A lot of people don't, though. And most people don't hear about that because very few of those people put their stories on YouTube, right? So there's not the success stories you hear about. They come through that door right there, and they come through this office. And
they want you to look at it, and that's it.
Well, no, they're having deep cleansing responses. They're having heart palpitations. They broke their fast 2 months ago, and they're still, like 110 pounds, and they can't get weight on again. There's all these mistakes that happen.
Wait for that problem.
Huh?
I can't wait for that problem.
You don't want to be that. You don't want to be.
Not.
When somebody's cleansing goes wrong, you don't want to be that person.
Oh,
it's
no.
tough. No. It's tough. And the family is very unsupportive because they don't understand what's happening. But people break fasts wrong and they have problems. So one of the things you're talking about, the Snapchat days, I was watching this girl in Costa Rica who she was on a fruit farm. And that's why I followed her story. And I was watching the fruit farm, and I watch it every once in a while. And then one day she says, I'm going to do an intuitive water fast. Oh. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, huh. And I go, because she didn't really look like she had she didn't really look like she had a grasp on how it really all worked. And they were reading Arnold Ehret, and they were on a fruit farm in Costa Rica, and
Sounds like heaven.
Yeah, well, it was very fantastical, and they were into a lot of the deep philosophy, right? And now she's water fasting, so I was like, shit, let's see how she does. And then I'm like, I hope I don't watch somebody kill themselves on water, on a water fast, because water fast can be highly therapeutic, but there's things you got to know, and it didn't sound like she knew how to do it the right way. So she breaks it. She breaks her fast after, I forgot how many days, 10 or 20 days. It was enough to go deep and put your body in a state of extreme contraction. And she's reading this fruitarian literature, and she starts eating she starts drinking sugarcane juice and eating too much sugar. So what happens? Muscle spasms and paralysis, where she's in extreme pain and she can't move her arms or her legs, and then blindness. And I was like, oh shit. So I start messaging her, and then I got Dr. Bishy involved, and she actually got a call with him, I believe. And basically what happened was she introduced sugar too quickly and her body couldn't handle it. The blindness was temporary, thank God. And of course the spasming worked itself out once. You can use some magnesium when you have that too, some topical magnesium that can help a lot too. But she didn't break it right. You don't just break it on fruit. That's why when you were like, I'm gonna have a watermelon party, I was like,
mangoes.
Bobby, please don't, because I've already seen you break fast wrong before.
Yes.
So like there are rules to natural law, and things, you got to know what you're doing. And the thing that I always warn people about, and Dr. Bishy's always educated me on, is like when someone goes, especially into a water fast, like juice fasting is one thing. Like if somebody's juice fasting 3 days, doesn't matter. 10 days, really you could even mess it up. You'll be fine. Even people mess up 30-day fast. Sometimes it really sucks. A lot of the time they're fine. But when you water fast, you really put yourself in a vulnerable position. And, people have died breaking fasts the wrong way on a water fast. Like you got to know, you're basically becoming your own doctor. One of the people I know that died on a water fast died in a hospital because he went to the hospital because he was having complications from breaking it wrong, breaking it on watermelon, way too much watermelon. I don't know which complications he had, because this is somebody, one of my colleagues' ex-boyfriends was doing it back in the early raw food days. And he ended up in a hospital. I don't remember if he put himself there, if a family member put him there because he was having problems when he was breaking his water fast. And he died there because they don't understand the state that you're in.
He just went into
you don't just start feeding somebody nutrients that's in a contracted state like that, especially shitty nutrients. You got to introduce slow. You start breaking a water fast with celery sticks, something neutral, minerals, fiber, things that are going to stimulate your digestive tract. Now, you could suck on an orange wedge. You can have a piece of an apple. You take your time. Like, just remember through all these years of cleansing now that like every time you do fast, especially water fast, you're gonna get cleaner and more not only more efficient but more sensitive. So just know that like you put yourself in a box where medicines might become more your response to them might be more exaggerated. Right?
Yes. Well, that's what I'm afraid of. There you go. The medical alert.
And cigarette smoke. And if you eat the wrong thing, and like it's going to be more exaggerated. So you just always want to remember that. And remember, you got to fortify too. The people that fail on fruitarianism are eating way too much sugary fruits long term. They feel great for a few years, but then they start to break down.
Yeah.
You got to fortify. So make sure you're doing a lot of like deep greens and like, you got to get your good fats and stuff. And at some point, you can go a long time just on cleansing diets, but at a certain point, your body's going to want to.
It happened to me.
Fortify itself.
Yeah. So that's what it was.
The purists will say you don't need nutrients. You just need to cleanse and everything is a detox experience. Not true. Not true. You got to cleanse and fortify. You want the cleansing life with you clean the body so it can accept the balancing, fortifying nutrients more easily.
And you said too, like too clean, right? Because now I'm doing the water fasting and the dry fasting. Just the other day, I went to go see my daughter had the lead in a play, and she's Cinderella, and I was all excited. And I'm going to the gym, and I'm the dad of the lead, and it's gonna be this great, beautiful night. And she was amazing. But the gym that she had it in the school gym, they just did the floors.
They polyed those floors.
They polyed the floor. I'm sitting there. Mike, but I'm stoned, but I'm sitting there like this, like just have my shirt over my face. People think I'm crying, it's my daughter up there, but the shirt's over my face. My tongue is getting numb. Like
Isn't it amazing how people don't experience that? Like so these floors, they kind of look like shit now after 3 years of rolling nitrogen tanks on them and all the traffic we get through here, but like. We had to poly these floors, right? I didn't do it, but like the guys did it, and that we hired, and I couldn't like. It was almost like when you look at fire and you see like the waves of heat coming, like like you could see that when chemicals come off the top. Like it was so hazy and disgusting. And so I would come to this job site when it was a construction site, and by the way, we had a crew of pirates do this place. You know what I mean? It wasn't like. You know, it wasn't like a super expensive construction crew we got.
Right.
You know?
Everyone professional suits and stuff like that.
No. It was a crew of pirates that came in and did this place, and they were cool peeps. But like, you know, so they didn't give a shit about their health. This place, they'd be sanding stuff, and not just wood. I mean, like they'd be sanding
it's
some
amazing,
of the.
Right?
The place would be a fog of dust, and like everyone would be standing around talking like nothing's going on.
Nothing's going on.
I wore a ventilator. I don't mean I wore a little.
You
a
came in
dust
with
mask.
a Star Wars. You were like Darth Vader coming in.
Yes, I still have it. It's in the back.
Oh, latest Mike. That was me. The same thing at the bar.
They made fun of me.
Oh, yeah.
They made fun of me. But one day, a dude, he did half this floor over here, and it was glistening. You know, it was like brand new, poly dumped all over the place. He put the lid on the 5 gallons of it, and he sat down on it and ate his lunch, looking out over the floor he just did, as if he was looking over a lake.
Oh,
and I was like,
God.
do you not, like, you're going to...
How are you tasting
How
that?
are you... Yeah, you could taste it. I could taste it with my eyes. Like, you could, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would... I would like cough and like heat would come out of my ears. You ever inhale a chemical and like it feels like heat is going down your throat?
Yeah. No,
That's
horrible.
the poly. So you were dying in this gym.
I was dying.
I don't understand. Like they're like, oh yeah, okay, the floors are dry, so it's good. It's like, no, you better outgas that shit for a month. I mean,
I was looking around. Like I told Trisha, I was like, I can't with the gym. She's like, oh, please stop. You know, like she just knows I'm just. But I'm like, I'm looking at everybody. I'm trying to see if anybody else is having an issue with it. And everyone's just sitting there like it's nothing. It's just another smell.
that's a healthy sensitivity though. When you go somewhere and you go, oh, that burns my throat or that gives me a headache. That's your body giving you clear communication that your environment is toxic. No shame in that. It just kind of sucks.
Yeah,
you know?
it sucks. Because those aren't things I didn't experience before when I was all clogged up.
But most people, their bodies will start to shut down their natural response to toxicity, just like smoking. I've told this story before. I was so happy when I stopped getting headaches from smoking cigarettes because I was like, it sucked. I was trying to look cool. I was smoking in front of the girls. And then I get a headache and I'd be so bad I'd have to go home. And I'm like, oh, I can't hang out with everybody, you know. Then it went away and I was like, oh, now I could smoke and I'm fine, you know. It's like your body shuts down the response to it. It figures it out. It adapts. You know, and then you'll cyclically get sick, more bronchitis, more chest infections when you're polluting your chest like that. But the initial onslaught, your body's just like, okay, this is normal. Let's adapt. That's not a good thing.
Oh, and the body's amazing. It adapts to everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I know old 70-year-old crackheads that are just still functionable. Like,
Yeah.
how are you functioning? Like, what?
And I almost look at that as a spiritual thing. You know why? Because when you look at other animals, I mean, shit, look what's going on with global warming, right? 1 degree temperature shifts and there's creatures that are dying, like fish, like populations that can't, you know, the pH of the water will change by in one direction. All of a sudden, everything, like there's this chain reaction of death because of acidity and temperature change. You look how fragile a lot of the animals are. Then you look at us. We could throw how many chemicals? What was it? I just said it on my story.
We are the cockroach.
in a sense, we are like even though we're heavily compromised. Yeah, we're like a cockroach colony, you know. But I think there's over 400 approved chemicals for approved pesticides and synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. Are approved for use in the United States. That's just pesticides. That's not even all the construction shit and all like
Oh my God.
Pretty nuts. I mean, I'm not trying to take us to a dark place, but
yeah, but we adapt.
But for some reason, I think like spiritually we adapt because it's like, why aren't we dropping dead? You know, we are getting sick earlier and earlier, you know, in age, but you know, like why? Like it's amazing that humans could live that long. Like Steve-O is still alive. God bless him. I'm glad he is. But like, what the fuck? Keith Richards is still alive. What the fuck? I mean, I'm glad he is, but like, amazing. Oh shit, man.
Amazing. And they just keep going and you know.
But not everybody, right? I mean, like, people are getting sick in their 20s and 30s with awful cancers and shit, you know?
Well, that's happening everywhere. And that was my biggest fear was that. And that's the only reason why, because I like this place.
Yeah.
And you wind up liking it a lot more when the cleaner you get.
Yeah.
That's been the most amazing thing, really. It's just like seeing the world different. That just that alone, like just whoa, like having that awakening, that experience really.
Well, that's the value in that. That was the value in the experience for me. I mean, that's even why I do it for a living. It's like it was so valuable from a spiritual perspective and just like a human perspective to go through that. And it really was just a choice. I was like, I could choose these things. Once you start choosing those things, like I've said this before too in podcasts, there was a saying in Islam. I might be getting it wrong, but I remember this from reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. It was like, take one step towards Allah, Allah will take 10 steps towards you, or 2 steps towards you. I don't remember which one it actually was. So I read that and I was like, well, that's interesting. Because I believe it all comes from the same place anyway, all the religions and everything. And I thought that was kind of my experience when I started cleaning up my life and eating clean. I still have all my human problems, but I took like one step towards positivity and started to make a more compassionate choice for my body, for animals, for the planet. And all of a sudden, all of this like rush of people that were going to support me in that came forward, and like and I was like, wow, like I'm meeting all the right people. I'm just getting access to all, everything. Like,
Law of attraction,
it was just really interesting. Really interesting how that happened. Yeah. And I don't believe in the secret and
the secret, right?
Toxic wellness right now.
Toxic wellness.
Yeah. In the wellness world with things like manifesting, like and stuff like that. Like, it's very easy for us in the West to like blame our problems on our belief systems or something like that. But like there's a whole world out there, a third world out there too, that's dealt a very hard life. You know what I mean? And it's not because they didn't have positive thoughts. You know what I mean? Like it's not, so that's kind of what toxic wellness is. But why did I bring that up? What were we talking about? I don't know, but let's move on because I lost my point. I don't think I made a very good point. But that it's like,
no, that was cool
I said I don't believe in the secret and manifesting.
The secret, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that like, the
law of attraction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, people really came down on Oprah for that. Like people were like, the secret's bullshit. It's kind of, most people bash that whole concept, the secret, like you just need to think it and it's going to come true. I don't think that was like, and Oprah got behind it. And Oprah's obviously a manifester, a creator, and a hustler. Like she's made this wonderful life and empire, right? The reason she got behind that, like this, it's not because she was into some woo-woo shit. The thing is, like, the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
Yes, I heard of it. Yeah.
So like with Think and Grow Rich, a lot of people thought, oh, I'm just thinking the wrong thoughts and I'm not attracting the right things into my life. But that is a step in it, right? So like nothing happens without action. Nothing's going to happen without the hustle. Nobody's going to dream their way into success. Right. But the problem is, and the reason I think Oprah got behind it is because she, and a lot of famous people got behind it that created amazing lives, is because they recognize that most people don't have the thought process that invites success. So, so even though you need both, even though you're not just going to write down your intentions on paper every day and do exercises from the book, The Secret, and think positive thoughts and manifest a house, right? Like maybe that's not the case, but most people don't know what they want and they don't know how to goal set and they don't know how to do that. So that is a vital part. Yes. Like Think and Grow Rich. I mean, like I see it with the mindset around money with people in my life, people like, I see the people that I know that make a lot of money just have a different mindset and a different relationship to it. It's not that that's all there is. They work their asses off to get their shit. But then I see other people in my life that like, they come up with every excuse in the book. They have a negative mindset. They don't think and grow rich. Right. They think that getting rich is hard because they have some issue around it. So they can't actually think themselves into a positive space to take action to do it.
Yes.
So like Oprah being like, well, I envisioned it and I knew that I would have this life, no, she's not saying magic. She's saying most people can't envision it. And that was her first step.
And it was the same with me. I see myself as a model, a 50-year-old model. And like, I've been working at that. That's my goal, really. So it's weird. It's like almost like a vision board, like I see that picture of myself. And
you want to get into fit bodybuilding, right?
I want to, I want the whole package, like, and not to, I mean, because I always wanted that, right? So you always want that. You think about that, being heavy my whole life, oh my God, look at this body. Like I always wanted that body, but now it's more of, to get the word out more. Like if I could really transform myself into that and say that plants did that, because that's my goal, is to let's see what plants do for me. Like, it's harder for you to do that because you've been thin. Well, you have some good before and after pictures too.
They're pretty okay. I mean, compared to people that really had to lose a lot of weight or something, like, it's not as impressive, but I had a pretty beat up body I should have been at my prime. I was 19 years old. I had 60 extra pounds on, and I was, I had the pasty skin of a pasta pizza and 40 ounces of Old English consumer. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a good look on me. I'll just say that. I think I look much better now. But yeah, no, comparatively, like if you stack up a muscle after that, like you're going to be much more impressive to look at, much more inspiring. Yeah.
And sex sells, and it's sad, but it does. So like if I was definitely more impressive to the women, I would just generate more, even with the dudes, because I feel like I have more of a dude based fan. I have no idea why, but I don't know.
Oh, one of the cameras did something. I don't know. Shut off.
It's getting low.
No, it's off. I don't know what happened, but I think I'm going to just check our cameras real quick. But I'm not worried about the GoPro. All right, so we had a little goof up with the cameras, so we're going to wrap it up in a few minutes. But where were we? What were we talking about?
Sex sells.
Yeah, and when people think sex, they think Bobby Bunz.
Yeah, like just it works out perfect for me because like I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna get there, and I'm just gonna just keep it inspiring people.
Now, look, that's another reason to fortify yourself too, because with all that cleansing food, like you'll get lean and like athletically toned. But when you look at people like Derek Simnett,
and Simnett, I'm so jealous. Like,
he's great. He's such a
eating
baller,
all those
man.
Greens and beans.
Yeah, so he eats a much more complex. He's a great diet, but he protein stacks. He eats a much more complete. He eats a lot more food variety than you would probably eat because he eats cooked food. Yeah. Brendan Brazier is another one. He's into he used to just be into endurance athletics. Now he's into like bodybuilding and stuff. Not like competitive bodybuilding. He lifts. He's into strength training. He looks great, but he eats like a lot of food. He's not fasting all the time, and he's not eating fruit diets. And yeah. Let me ask you, what's your plan? What's your plan to bodybuild? Like, what are you going after? Like, when are you going to stop cleansing? When are you going to start with protein? Are you going to do like traditional weight training? Or you got some plan? You're going to do kettlebells? You're going to do the Simnet program? Like, what are you going to do?
I don't know, because I still have all this skin to work with. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe to get your knowledge on it, because I feel like I have to go to zero. I feel like I have to do the Fred Bishi, 80 pounds.
Okay, good. I'm glad we brought this up. I disagree. I don't think you have to do that. I think you need to start fortifying, and I think you just need to do a couple of years of a clean diet with occasional fasts and exercise through it.
And just start hitting the gym and stuff.
Boost your metabolism.
To me, it's all like food now.
And no, I don't think you need to strip yourself down anymore. I mean, I think you can on a cycle seasonally if you want to. I mean, that's what I do. Like, there'll be a time where I'll be like, okay, enough's enough here. I need to take a little break. I mean, this is what I do. But I think that you should definitely start, especially if you want to bodybuild, you definitely need to start working your way back to some more dense foods. You'll be a great endurance athlete, if you want to just like eat like really like low fat, lean carb kind of stuff. But to stack weight, muscle, like a significant amount, like to look like Derek or to look like Brendan Brazier or something, you're probably going to need more concentrated food. So you want to start inching your way back toward that, because you don't just start eating that overnight, especially after all that fasting. Right. And I mean like clean stuff. I don't mean you go out and eat the Beyond Meat burger or like you go out. No, I'm not talking about going to eat vegan mac and cheese or something. I mean like you're going to start eating sweet potatoes, maybe some quinoa, maybe, you're going to start working that type of stuff back in. Maybe start taking some hemp protein, eating more nuts and seeds in a salad, like that kind of stuff I'm talking about, right?
But hitting the gym, eating that, but hitting the gym.
And hitting the gym, right? And you got to remember too, you're going to get injured a little bit maybe in the beginning because your body's out of shape, so you got to baby step it. And I would start doing calisthenics and strength training first. Of course, you're going to do, some type of aerobic work too, just a bit, and then I would try to.
What about yoga? Just to get the stretch
fantastic!
on and
and the strength. Like people that do, like I know guys and women too, but like, guys, because they have like testosterone, like some of them do, like, that are real hardcore yogis, they build muscle. A lot of yoga positions are strengthening positions too. They're not just lean, flexible people. Like they actually, you can build up some nice strength. I think it's really smart to do all that. I think you should immerse in it. Yeah, that's how I would go. Clean, fortifying food with exercise long-term wins the game. Occasional cleansing. In the beginning, sometimes people got to like set things straight with a nice deep long fast. The last time I really did a long fast, what was when I had Lyme disease.
Right.
Yeah, that was the last time. Ever since then, it's just been micro hits of stuff, and just a lot of consistent, clean living. And the intermittent fasting is that's what it is. That's where, I've been doing that for 20 something years. Like we were laughing about it. Gil laughs about it. He's like, intermittent fasting. He's like, well, we got a name for it now.
There's a name. Yeah.
But it's funny. It shows you how addicted to food people are and how much they don't like to detox, that people need to celebrate the fact that they've not eaten for 14 hours. They need to give it a name. They need to say, oh my God, I haven't eaten. I'm on this thing. I'm intermittent fasting now. I think it's good everyone's doing it. I'm not trying to make fun of anyone, but I'm just saying, like, it's just funny that like a lot of people live that. It's just like a normal way to live. Like you stop stuffing food in you all the time, But when you do eat, I think you should make it count, not overeat, not stack food, but like eat real nutrient dense stuff. Go to like Health Force Nutritionals and get some of those super green mineral rich powders. Get some hemp protein, get those type of foods. I do recipes with this stuff all the time. Go to On It, even though their nutritional advice that they kind of put out there is a little goofy and I'm not in line with it. I think they make fantastic exercise equipment. Get a couple of mace. We're going to play with the mace before you leave tonight.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, mace training was like changed my relationship to exercise. I get bored doing the traditional stuff, like lifting a dumbbell up to my chest. But if you do a nice like rolls and rotations with a mace and, you kind of work on a lot of the same muscles, it's so much fun. They have steel clubs that is so much fun to swing around and to move. Battle ropes, which will like shred your arms up. I would do that, man. Go all in on it.
Yeah, and and these moves and everything, and my posture, because now I'm like working on my posture. I can't even get. I was putting a stick behind my back, and it's hard for me to, because I've been covering up these moves my whole life. So I naturally built this kind of defense.
There you go. That's what we were talking about before, posturing, because you were ashamed of something, whatever. You took on a posture of hiding, right?
Yep.
So luckily you don't have any pain from that. But once you start exercising, you might get some. So you want to start changing that, your thoughts on that.
Stretching
and this is something I just realized I should have said too. One of the things I'd really recommend you do is instead of going into fasting, get into cleansing practices, saunas, sweating.
Yeah,
right.
I don't sweat enough.
Do some more bowel cleansing. Do the cold immersion. You take the cold shower every day.
I've been messing with. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I
Do
enjoy
that. Get into those practices because those will keep the tissue really clean. The expansion and contraction and the purging, like that'll really do it. And then you're eating through the whole, not when you're in the sauna, but like you eat like throughout your life, you're making sure that you're eating,
I don't
rich
sweat
foods.
enough.
You'll see that transform a lot.
Yeah, and it's have to because it's the skin. I'm battling with the. I just heard that fasting is really the especially water fasting really goes after the skin. So I've had that on my mind.
I love how I'm that angel in your ear that's always whispering like caution to you. You're like, I'm going to go do this thing. And I'm like, Bobby, slow it down, my man.
Thank you. I don't know where I'd be without you.
I've seen a lot of shit being a practitioner. That's why. And I've seen people get into trouble. And I've also seen all the successes too. And I'm like, yes, God bless. The cleansing life fucking rocks. It's good. But I've seen the tough stuff. And you take a lot of responsibility when you do that. Regular doctors might not get that you did something to yourself and they need to approach you with, with a velvet glove. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so... Anyway, my man, this was a lot of fun. You stayed late with me tonight. I appreciate it a lot. We can keep going for another couple of hours, but we got to save something for the future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially that sexy body.
Well, yeah.
Especially that sexy body in the future is going to be.
Next podcast, we're going to celebrate some stacking. You're going to get yoked, my friend.
Yeah.
My brother, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, I love you, Mikey.
I love you too, brother.